Welcome, everybody. Good evening. I hope you guys are all doing well. Possibly enjoying the oil longs. My drawdown is significantly recovered. And I think that we've seen the worst of it for the precious metals, which is contributing to the bulk of to all of the drawdown. The oil positions, perhaps I can show you here. Yeah, so there's just under my face cam there's oil buys from 101, 99.5, 94, and 86. So there you go. Hello, Paul. Thank you for joining. So oil has had its biggest day of the war, up around 11 or 12% right now. However, we do have quite an ominous quote from the International Energy Association, its executive director, on CNBC, saying that April will be much worse than March. In April, there is nothing. So far, we have lost 12 million barrels per day in oil output, which is more than two of the worst oil crises in history combined. So with the 1973 Arab embargo, 5 million barrels per day was offline. 1979 Iranian Revolution, also 5 million barrels per day. But now with the 2026 Hormuz closure, we are seeing 12 million barrels per day offline. So the reason why March hasn't been as bad is that ships that transited the Strait of Hormuz before the war were still arriving at ports throughout March. But that pre-war cargo buffer is now exhausted. So the strategic reserve release only reduces the pain, but the cure is opening the Strait of Hormuz. $109 today may be low for April. So I am maintaining the bullish perspective on oil. I know some members of the community are also long oil. And this doesn't really come as any surprise. We've been forecasting triple-digit oil the entire time, really. I think it's only been kept under that due to price manipulation. But we can see the 72-hour timeline here. On Tuesday, Trump said that they would be leaving. Just before the speech, the price came down to 99 and has since spiked back upwards. So we are seeing lots of strength on oil. There were long setups provided at $100, but I've been buying this since $65 as well. Additional entries at 86 have been my new best ones. I closed the $83 one not too long ago. Hello, Andy and Mark. I hope you guys are doing well. Are you in the oil longs? Because today 40 countries came together to talk about the Strait of Hormuz, but no action was taken. The US or Trump has said that it's somebody else's job. France have called it a breach of international law. The Gulf states have said that they won't act alone, and Europe has said they will only act with a ceasefire. Iran have said that the Strait is decisively and dominantly under IRGC Navy control. Here we have the situation between Iran and Oman. Oman was the bridge between the US and Iran, but now it's building the toll booth. This toll booth in question, I'll show you now where it is physically. So this is marine traffic, and we're using it to look in detail at the Strait of Hormuz. And this gap between Larak Island and Keshim Island is where the Iranian toll booth is being constructed, the Ayatollah booth, where ships will have to pass through and pay the transit fees. So this is the physical area, but we have seen over the last few hours some ships breaking out and actually going around the edge of the UAE here, which is quite interesting because these were the pre-war shipping, like the pre-war shipping lanes, and they evidently aren't going through the Iranian toll booth. But here, for example, this tanker last pinged 9 minutes ago. Yeah, so they're making it through there. It's an Iranian tanker. Lots of the analysts and sources that I follow are pointing towards a possible $150, even $200 price of oil, which makes $100 look like a good price for the entries. The issue, of course, is as we experience these elevated oil prices, this will translate into global recession. We're definitely in a recession right now, and a possible depression is on the cards. Remember how desperately the US administration stepped in to reverse the price from $119, and we have, I think, exhausted those manipulation tactics, and now the market is really pricing in the true severity of this conflict. Most tankers are staying near the UAE, as they are providing some of the more consistent air defense. I think they've received like 2,000 attacks or intercepted 2,000 different attacks. So the UAE have been getting hit very hard. Really fascinating how, I guess, like vulnerable these global supply chains are, and the fact that a large portion of it comes down to these relatively small choke points. I think the Strait of Hormuz is like 26 kilometers across, something like that. So not very large at all. Hi, Victor. Yes, the drawdown has improved significantly, and I've even taken some profits on some oil and silver positions. Slowly trimming the exposure, and just improving the situation. Let's put it that way. The end of the petrodollar thesis is now being built into the institutional architecture, as any ship entering the straits must now comply with Iran-Oman framework or face being blocked from both directions. Here are some price levels. We're looking for the path to $119, as that will reopen. If this price continues on the current trajectory, because we're seeing a huge input in strength here. So if we're long energy, I'm going to continue to hold that. I don't think anybody has been shaken out, as the price movement has been relatively linear. The most concerning thing, I think, is that quote from the IEA executive director, the International Energy Association, saying that in April there is nothing. 12 million barrels per day in output is gone. The March buffer was pre-war cargo still arriving, but that is now exhausted. $109 today may be the low for April, not the high. The April 6th, the deadline is in 3 days, and the off-ramp is gone because the Americans or the Israelis conducted an airstrike on the former foreign minister's home, killing his wife and seriously injuring him. And he was the diplomatic back channel through Pakistan with JD Vance. So that off-ramp is now gone. So I am expecting the price of oil to continue appreciating. I'm staying pretty consistent on that viewpoint, and have so since the 28th of February, just before the war broke out. Well, sorry, 26th of February. That was the initial Thursday buys at $65. And it's been an enormous move since then. Looking at the rest of the markets, GBP USD was a short analyzed earlier on in the week. Been moving well so far, but relatively muted in its movement today. Tomorrow is Good Friday. The markets will be closed. So today is the last full session that we have. You see the plethora of bank holidays tomorrow. So the liquidity is likely to dry up. It looks like it's drying up. There is a lack of movement there. GBP JPY has seen some temporary strength from the inverse head and shoulders setup that I marked out. This currently being the right shoulder. So the market pattern is like this: left shoulder, neckline, head, neckline, and then right shoulder. So these setups are all analyzed in the London session briefs that I host in the mornings. If you're not in the Discord already, I would highly recommend joining so you can participate in those. And that's where the vast majority of this analysis is done. We were also looking at GBP AUD shorts. I don't think Martin is in here, but Martin, it'd be interesting to see now, because these shorts did end up playing out. We'd been exploring the possibility of this hourly head and shoulders, and it did play out perfectly. So the left shoulder had formed there. You have your neckline, head, price came back down to the equal lows to form the complete neckline. And then at that stage, you can apply the Fibonacci tool from the high down to the low. Price retraces to the golden zone, 0.618, and then you get your engulfing bearish candle as entry confirmation. Very nice head and shoulders there. Again, I've got my hands tied with how much more I can really participate in the markets, so I'm hesitant to open new positions. I do think that over the coming weeks, I will be able to unwind myself out of these positions, and continue, just to rebalance things, because those precious metal buys were not good in retrospect. USD CHF, this was another setup within the community. Quite simply, the price had set a new high, and we just applied the Fibonacci tool there. Monitored for the higher low, price came back down to retest a previous high and the psychological level 0.79300, providing the confirmation there too. So I know that was a popular one within the Discord. USD CHF longs. USD JPY also printing a possible long entry here. We had been looking for the retest of this support level, 159.450, and that's held. I am bearish on the yen until the Bank of Japan intervenes. I will continue to be bearish against the yen. The Japanese are not in any aren't in any better of a position now that this conflict has not only broken out but escalated. Again, the Japanese receive upwards of 80% of their oil from the Middle East. So when it comes through the Strait of Hormuz and the Bab el Mandeb here, it then flows east towards Japan. So they are now facing a pretty serious oil shortage as well, not to mention the state of their currency. Yeah, that's really it. I mean, oil is moving fantastically well, up just under 13% today. Gold and silver, that's causing, again, the majority of my drawdown, but these are forming positively right now, seeing some strength too. So this is from April of 2025. Yeah, the fibs don't really work too well here. That's a huge wick on the weekly time frame. That looks like an important support floor at $70. If we push back up to $82, I will be out of the drawdown. So I think that looks very feasible. It's pretty good grounds for a re-entry as well, to be completely honest. This is silver here. And gold, similar structure as well. Yeah, I do think I've been through the worst of it with the precious metals, so my thesis on that isn't changing just yet. Are there any suggestions or questions for anything you'd like me to look at? I will be performing a more comprehensive information brief tomorrow morning. I just wanted to come on here specifically to talk about the increase in oil, up 13% today. Okay, that just wasn't working. I wanted to see if I could just there you go. There's some of the oil positions there. We'll continue to see how that plays out. You think it's worth trading tomorrow with the bank holidays? No. I'm not going to add anything new. Okay, everyone. That's it for tonight. Thank you very much for tuning in. Just a quick update there. I'll see you guys tomorrow.